Okay, let's dive into an absolutely surreal, mind-bending mystery for today's explainer. We are going to put on our detective hats and try to solve an impossible, deeply philosophical puzzle. We're unpacking the Cartography of Broken Clocks, which is this fascinating narrative that completely shatters the rules of reality, physics, and everything we think we know about human understanding. I mean, just imagine a crime scene that isn't actually a crime, a map that charts a place that doesn't exist, and a cast of characters who have looked directly into the abyss and realized the abyss was looking right back at them with total intention.
We kick things off with a profound paradox as we arrive in the fog-drenched town of Fenwick-on-Mere. The quote goes, "There is a detective in this book who cannot solve anything. There is a philosopher in this book who cannot stop solving everything." So right out of the gate, we know our usual ways of making sense of the world are about to be flipped upside down. We follow Superintendent Vera Coss. Now, Vera is a detective whose entire life is built on solving things, right? She desperately needs to create this absolute impenetrable boundary between order and disorder. So she's called in to investigate a death in a sleepy town where literally nothing sinister ever happens. And what she finds, it totally shatters her worldview.
Because what's truly unsettling about retired cartographer Aldous Crimp's death is just how administrative it is. It defies every single category we have for a typical crime scene. There's no struggle, no forced entry, no dramatic final note. There is just a cold cup of tea, an uncapped pen, and, this is the crazy part, a massive, completely blank map of an unrecognizable coastline. To Vera, this doesn't look like a murder at all. Honestly, it looks as if death just showed up with the proper paperwork, and Aldous Crimp calmly signed on the dotted line. And here is the central conflict of this entire mystery, a massive clash of two fundamentally opposed worldviews. On one side, you have Superintendent Vera Coss. Whenever Vera closes a case, she takes her 14-day notebook and physically locks it away inside a tin box. She literally has 47 of these tin boxes shoved under her bed. They're like a physical monument to certainty, order, and fully answered questions. But on the flip side, you have Aldous Crimp's final, perfectly blank map. That map represents the absolute terrifying unknown. It's a total refusal to force the universe into a neat little box. To figure out why Aldous died with a blank map, we have to rewind and look at his life's work. Let's trace the 11-year descent of the Meridian Survey Project. Aldous and his team of scientists were mapping this bizarre anomaly at the bottom of the sea called the Skerrick Shelf. But as the years ticked by, they realized something absolutely terrifying. The geographical coordinates were moving, and it gets weirder. As they hit the limits of human technology at a depth of over 2,400 meters, they realized the shelf wasn't just drifting aimlessly. It was surfacing. It had a specific destination in mind.
This brings us to a crucial concept: going to baseline. When the survey team's submersible got deep enough, their highly calibrated instruments just gave up. They completely stopped measuring the physical ocean and started measuring their own null state, basically zeroing out. And you know, this serves as a perfect metaphor for what happens when our human frameworks just fail to grasp the incomprehensible. When we face something truly beyond our reality, our mental instruments go to baseline.
Which leads to a massive bombshell from Mira Vask, a fellow scientist from the survey. She tells Vera that Aldous Crimp didn't simply die, he arrived. Think about it. For years, Aldous was trying to map this unknown anomaly from the outside looking in. But Mira explains that once the unknown actually surfaces, you can't map it from a distance anymore. You have to tune to its exact frequency. You literally have to be in the exact same place as the thing itself.
Another crew member, a physicist named Beatrice Anand, explains this brilliantly. She contrasts our normal world of sides, the world of binaries we live in, like up and down, alive and dead, with what she calls the threshold. Beatrice argues that down at the bottom of the ocean, they found a genuine physical in-between space. She compares it to water at exactly 0 degrees. At that exact temperature, it's neither liquid nor ice. It's the pure condition of possibility. Aldous didn't die. He permanently entered this threshold state.
And this threshold, it completely altered every single member of the survey crew. Witnessing the true unknowns forces a total paradigm shift. Aldous and Petir fully tuned to the signal and arrived. Fenella, their biologist, came away realizing that even rocks and tidal pools possess a form of living recognition. Jonas adopted this extreme, deliberate slowness just to watch reality unfold around him. Beatrice actually refused to finish her life's defining equation, intentionally leaving it open. And Mira? She became the anchor, the one who stays behind in our normal reality to explain it all to people like Vera.
But what actually triggered Aldous' arrival at this specific moment? Enter the missing pilot of the submersible, Thomas Wren. Thomas didn't just witness the anomaly, he essentially became the signal for it. By continuously moving across the globe over the years, popping up in Portugal, then Argentina, then Norway, he acted as a human carrier wave, keeping that threshold frequency open. And then, 8 months before Aldous was found dead, Thomas arrived right there in Fenwick-on-Mere. He was calibrating the signal, essentially holding the door open so Aldous could finally walk through.
This global movement triggers something huge in Superintendent Vera herself. For 23 years, Vera never ever went anywhere without her trusty notebook. But the sheer weight of this incomprehensible mystery finally breaks her routine. She actually leaves her notebook behind. She walks out into the freezing, pitch-black harbor at 4 a.m. She takes this unmapped photograph they found in Aldous' wallet, and she looks through it, not at it. And for just a fleeting moment, she actually sees it. She sees the unknown, unmapped coastline perfectly overlaying the physical town of Fenwick-on-Mere. She finally tuned into the frequency.
Desperate for a neat resolution she can just file away in one of her 10 boxes, Vera tracks down Thomas Wren on his boat. But Thomas delivers an absolute gut punch of a realization. He tells her, the open file is not a failure. The open file means the investigation has become large enough to include the investigator. That right there completely shatters her lifelong need to close and file away reality. Thomas is telling her she's no longer just observing the mystery from a safe distance. She is now part of the mystery herself.
Weeks later, back in her normal day-to-day life, Vera gets a letter from Mira Vanask that contains a breathtaking twist. Mira took Aldous' final, perfectly blank map and laid it directly on top of her own highly detailed, hand-drawn map of the unknown coastline. And guess what? When held up to the light, the blank map doesn't cover up or erase the details beneath it. It actually illuminates them. The blank map was never empty. It was the pure condition of possibility that makes the specific, beautiful details of the world shine even brighter.
Okay, brace yourself, because this is where it gets truly mind-bending. When those maps are combined and the light shines through, a tiny, previously unnoticed detail on the edge of a cliff top suddenly becomes visible. It's a figure, standing exactly in the posture of someone looking out at the unknown. Guys, it's Superintendent Vera Coss herself. This is the ultimate paradox of Vera's investigation. She thought she was objectively mapping a crime scene from the outside, but she was always from the very beginning embedded directly in the territory she was trying to investigate.
And Vera? She accepts this beautiful, terrifying reality. She pulls out her notebook one last time, but she doesn't draw a harsh line to close the case. Instead, she writes this incredible final entry. I have been measured. I have become the instrument. The reading is open. She fully, completely embraces that water at zero threshold. She leaves all 47 of those heavy tin boxes under her bed, finally realizing they were just records of everything she missed by trying to control the world. And she steps forward into a life that is completely wonderfully open.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to turn this philosophical mystery back over to you. We all have our own tin boxes, right? Those rigid routines, beliefs, and certainties that we use to protect ourselves from the vast, unpredictable unknown. But as we've just seen, true understanding only happens when we let our own internal instruments go to baseline. So ask yourself, what categories and certainties are you willing to finally leave behind in order to see the unmapped territories of your own life? Thank you so much for exploring this with us. Keep your files open.